Sports Talk Chicago. Ever Jon Zaghloul, John Meadows directing and producing. Great to be here with all of you across all of our great radio and TV affiliates in Illinois and Indiana. WROK 101.1 Peoria Sports Radio, 98.3 The Live, WKAN 105.5 The Ticket, HGTV Jet, TBWJOB, and Cities 92.9 Talk FM. Great to be here. We had a couple of great, fun segments so far. Bears have a new stadium, and they're going to be asking for taxpayer money. How do you feel about that? You can let me know. You could comment at Sports Talk Chicago on social media. Let me know what you think about that. And then last segment, talk about the Cubs having a good year despite a couple of outstanding issues that need to be corrected. If you missed any part of today's show, you want to hear it, go to sportstalkchicago.com. Find the podcast. Go on any podcast platform you'd like. Also on YouTube. See my pretty face. Subscribe at Sports Talk Chicago. Hit the like button. You can watch all of our videos, all the segments. We're near 19,000 subscribers and appreciate all of your support. It's the segment you've all been waiting for. We talked about the Cubs, talked about the Bears, and I'll tell you what, the outrage that I felt for the Bears and their taxpayer-funded stadium doesn't even compare to what's going on with the White Sox. Really doesn't. So let me paint a picture for you for a minute. We do this show once a week. It gets sent out to all of our affiliates. We have a good time. We love it. We have fun, right? Last week when we talked, the White Sox were 3-14. As we sit here tonight and record, they're 3-20. They haven't won a game in a week. Oh my gosh. Can you believe it? They're the worst team in baseball. And they've done nothing to improve themselves in a week. You know, you talk about adjustments, you talk about getting better, you talk about just doing things differently, and clearly they're doing nothing. And I've always been a supporter and a defender of Pedro Grifol, and I don't think all of this is his fault. Look what he's working with, but I'll tell you what, the manager's going to have to go soon, no matter what, because at the end of the day, if you can't win just a couple of games, I mean, it would have been different even if we talked this week and the White Sox went 4-5 over their last 9 or something. They have just gotten worse. They keep losing. How is that even possible? Paul DeYoung's their best hitter. He's hitting .216. He's their best qualified hitter, Paul DeYoung. Yohan Moncada's on the 60-day IL. He doesn't count. He won't be around this team for a long time. Paul DeYoung hitting .216 is the best hitter the White Sox have to offer. Gavin Sheets off the bench is doing good too. I mean, this is horrible. This is horrible. Wow. I mean, nobody's doing good. Jordan Leisure out of the bullpen's doing fine. Eric Fenty, the starting pitcher, is the best starting pitcher on this team. He has a 2.73 ERA in 5 starts. That's great. But even Garrett Crochet got roughed up recently. His ERA spiked to 5.61. Michael Soroka, 7.50. Chris Flexen, 6.41. Jonathan Cannon, 7.27. This team's ERA in general, combining bullpen and starters, is at a 5.14. One of the worst marks in baseball. And as a team hitting-wise, they're hitting 192 as a team with a 556 team OPS. 556. I have never seen a team this bad. I've never seen numbers so low this late in a season. And you could say it's not late, John. It's only been, 23 games? No, this is late to be hitting 193 as a team. This is late to have a 5+ ERA as a team. Okay, it's different if we're 10 games in and all the numbers are inflated and then you get back on track in the next 20 or so games. It just gets worse. It's not gotten better. It gets worse and worse. I don't understand this. What's going on here? I mean, Martin Maldonado's the starting catcher. He's hitting .048. .048. His OPS is 162. His OPS plus is a -52. League average is 100. It's I've never even seen a negative OPS plus. I've never seen that before. It's a -52. At least Andrew Benintendi is at 12. And Eloy Jimenez is at 95. I mean, what is going on here? Kevin Pillar's 35 years old. They signed him to a minor league deal. He's hitting $150. I am honestly stunned. And This isn't that big of a story. Again, we talked about this a little bit last week. It's not a big story because of the A's and what they're doing to their fans. Now, what are the White Sox doing to their fans? Huh? We talk about the A's. They're moving. No one's going to the games. Oh, only 5,000 people showed up. What's going on here? What do we talk about here and what's happening here in Chicago with this team? They're 3-20. Oh, and by the way, Jerry Reinsdorf wants the public to pay for one of their new stadiums too. At least if you're the Bears, I will say this. I'm not a fan of publicly funded stadium, but if you're the Bears, at least you could say, hey, we have a good future to come, right? We're going to draft Caleb Williams. We've spent money on this team. We got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. You could make the argument that we have a good future. Invest in us. If I were their PR guy, I'd make that a slogan. Invest in us. And I would roll out a whole campaign to the public. I would tout the future that we have. That's the way to do it, right? And they could do that if they chose to. There's no future. There's no future. There's nothing to look forward to except Jerry Reinsdorf asking the public for money for a new stadium for a team that's 3-20. Okay, they're 3-20. You can't sit there and say, hey, we have a couple of good prospects. They have nothing. The guy who developed all these players is the GM now. I mean, this is literally a clown show. And I challenge Major League Baseball media outlets across the country, all you famous big-time YouTubers and, oh, what about the A's? What about the A's? Please cover the White Sox. Please look at what's going on here. The more coverage, the more people amplify the mediocrity of this organization, the better, because then maybe something will change. I don't know. But this is not it. I don't know why everybody skips over this. I'm talking about nationally. ESPN, everybody just kind of goes like, the A's, they suck. They're screwing their fans, and let's just talk about that. No, we got to talk about this now. This is a disservice to their fans and to the city of Chicago. Okay, the Cubs are sitting here playing 14-9 baseball. They're doing their best to win. I understand the White Sox are in the midst of a rebuild, and I understand what rebuilds are. But this is worse than a rebuild. This is utterly a disaster. This is literally rock bottom. It can't get any worse unless they go like 3-159 to end the year. I mean, this is so bad. They're on pace right now to win 25 games as a team. That would be the worst season in baseball history. Okay, that's worse than the Tigers in the early 2000s. Who currently have that record, losing 119 games in a season. The White Sox are on pace to break that record. It can't get any more futile than that. I challenge fans again. I challenge media outlets. I challenge everybody. I challenge all of you to continue to speak about this, to not patronize this team, to not even worry about this team. A's fans are more united in doing this. I know a couple of them. One of them is the Baseball Hall of Fame tracker guy, Ryan Thibodeau, who's a friend of this program, retweets a lot of my stuff around Hall of Fame time. He has not watched an A's baseball game in 4 years. He has chosen to boycott the franchise for what's happened over there. Maybe a little bit extreme, you think, but then you look at the White Sox and they're 3-20. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense if you were a White Sox fan to say, you know what, I'm not going to watch this anymore. I'm not going to waste my time with this anymore until they field a somewhat competitive team. Me, I'm the idiot. I picked them to win 70 games this year. Boy, am I going to be wrong. They'd have to literally go on a giant win streak. They'd have to play like above 500 ball for the rest of the year and then some. It's not going to happen. This is brutal. This is futile, and this is flat out wrong. Okay? This is flat out wrong. It's unfair. It's unfair to the fans who followed this team for so many years. And then the kicker is you hear Jerry Reinsdorf say, yeah, Bridgeport hasn't been good to us. We got to leave. Really? Maybe you haven't been good enough to your team or to your fan base. Maybe, just maybe, you haven't invested enough money in this team to be successful for at least 20 years, and that's why they're playing the way they are, and that's why you want to move. Yeah, of course no one's showing up to the games. Of course they're not. You know why? Because you suck. The only reason people even go to White Sox games anymore is because they're 3-20 and it's cheap tickets. They've always been cheaper than the Cubs, and that's great. I might have gone a little bit overboard, but this really, I feel so bad for the White Sox fans and for the White Sox fandom and nation. I really do. I feel for you guys. I mentioned this in my last video. I saw a couple of comments. I didn't even grow up a White Sox fan. It sounds like I'm a big fanboy. I'm not. I'm right down the middle. But I just see this from the outside, and I feel for all of you who are genuine fans of this team, who actually love this team, love their history, because like the Cubs, the White Sox have a storied history. They've been around since the late 1800s. They beat the Cubs in the 1906 World Series. They hit under 220 in that World Series and won it. The White Sox. They were the hitless wonders. That was their name at that time for that series. I know White Sox history. It's great. And yet they're putting this product on the field today. This is a team that has a storied history, that's been around Major League Baseball for 100-plus years. And this is what they're doing today. This is the product they're putting out there today. It's just like the Bears during their tanking years. I said the same thing. Storied franchise, legacy franchise, one of the founding members. And this is what you do. And it's the same for the White Sox here. And the White Sox, they play like a small market team. They act like a small market team, but they're a big market team. They have the money to spend. Their payroll's still at $125 million. I don't know what you're spending $125 million on right now. Guess I should go in and look at their contracts before we get on the next show here, because I am perplexed by how they're spending $125 million on a roster where their best hitter's hitting 216. It's unbelievable. I mean, this is the worst of the worst. And I don't know where it's going to go from here. Maybe I'm being over dramatic. I mean, I said before that the Bears, it seemed like they had no hope with the Pace and Nagy stuff. And I was prepared for like a 3, 4, 5-year rebuild. And that didn't really happen. It was more like a 2 to 3 year rebuild. But I don't know where this one's going to go. You got a GM in place who developed all of this quote-unquote young talent that didn't pan out, so I don't trust him to develop new young talent. You have an owner who's unwilling to spend money and wants to move the team out of Bridgeport because the neighborhood hasn't been supportive. You've got a manager who can't corral his players, and you've got a team that's 3-20. I don't know where this is going to go. I have no idea where this is going to go. So I feel for you, Sox fans, and I am really genuinely disappointed in what they're doing. It is beyond detestable. As a Chicago sports media outlet, it pains me to even cover them and give them any sort of recognition. They are playing so horribly. It's beyond bad. I mean, some of these guys would probably hit like 250 in AAA, and if you're hitting 250 in AAA, you'll never even get promoted. There are guys on this team today who should not be in AAA, let alone the major leagues. This team is a AAA team right now. It's really, really frustrating. I wish White Sox fans the best. I hope that this team could turn something around. But right now, it just gets worse. You know, I said last week they hit rock bottom. They've hit even a bigger rock bottom this week. It's just worse and worse stuff out of the Chicago White Sox. I hope for the best. I really hope that things get better. But I got to tell you, man, this is tough. And I don't know what the solution is. And I don't know what the end goal is. But I'm hoping that things get better. Cheers to the 2024 Chicago White Sox. And on that note, that's how we're going to end here today on Sports Talk Chicago. I appreciate everybody hanging out with us and tuning in. I want to give a big shout out again to all of our great radio and TV affiliates. WROK 101.1 Peoria Sports Radio, 98.3 The Life, WKAN 105.5 The Ticket, ACTV, GenTV, WJOB, and Cities 92.9 Talk FM. Big thank you to John Meadows, directing and producing, to all of you for tuning in. Follow us all over at Sports Talk Chicago. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you'd like at Sports Talk Chicago. Hit a like on this video and subscribe as we get near 19,000 subscribers. And remember, if you missed any part of today's show, if you're just hopping in and you're hearing us leave, don't worry. Go to sportstalkchicago.com or any of your favorite podcasting platforms, and you can hear the full show and segments of the show as you wish, on demand for free anytime. Until next time, so long.